Hello guys and welcome back. In today's video I'm going to be completely trimming the moss because it's looking kind of messy right now. Also going to do a small update on how the tank has been doing this last month. So this tank did originally start off with CO2. I started it off with a bio CO2 system and it ran for about a month. As I explained in part 2, there's also a part 1 of this video where you can see me scaping the tank. The only reason I used CO2 was just to boost the growth of the moss. In no shape, way or form do you need CO2 to grow moss. This particular moss is called weeping moss. It's one of my favorite. I really love how it grows in a downwards pattern. I find it really gives a certain look, a certain mature look to scapes. As much as it's looking amazing right now, it also needs to be trimmed back. So the plan for today is to really tidy up this whole scape. Okay, so let's get started because I have a feeling this might take me quite a while. So for trimming today, I'm going to be using 2 types of scissors. You don't need all this, you don't need 2 types of scissors. You could literally do this with anything you have. It's just, for me, it's convenient. This is what I'm mostly going to be using. So these are tiny spring-loaded scissors. These are my favorite ones because it's just in such small tanks. I just have more room to maneuver, and also, as silly as it may sound, when you're clipping away, like sometimes for long periods of time, this is actually quite comfortable to use. The second type of scissors I'm going to be using are these ones. They are curved scissors. So again, you don't need a curved pair of scissors. What is really useful with these scissors is because they are curved, they really help you to kind of give this like rounded, soft look, especially when you're trimming very dense plants, maybe something like Monte Carlo or moss. So I'm going to start by trimming the bottom of these trees, so then I know how much I'm actually going to take off the top, because that's what's going to look unnatural. If I really take too much off the top, it's just going to look flat, and that's not what I want. So there are a lot of shrimp in this tank, and it's something I do have to be quite mindful of when I'm trimming, especially moss, because they love to hide in moss and I don't always see them. So you will see me either shaking the moss with the scissors, giving a light taps. That's just to ensure that there are no shrimp there, and if they are, that they can, quickly swim away. So in general, I don't have to worry too much because shrimp are very well equipped. They have these little antennas that help them with sensory detection, with water movement, with vibrations. So as soon as they see me coming in with the pair of scissors, in general, they just move out of the way. Here I'm just taking off all the excess moss that's hanging off the actual trees. So I really like how it hangs. I like it when it does it a little bit, but when it's completely hanging over, it's just weighing down the scape. And it's also making it look messy. So the look I'm going for here is to really create these little dense bonsai trees. So generally when you get over 30, you start to have a bad back for absolutely no reason. So just to limit that, I'm gonna sit down. So I'm also going to be answering a few questions concerning lighting because I have had quite a few questions. So the light intensity is around 50% on this tank, and it is so for about 7.5 hours a day. This light is from Chihiro's Aquatic Studios. It's the A2401. So I do want to point out that I am in no way, shape or form affiliated or sponsored by Chihiro's. This light was actually sent to me for a sponsored build I did a while ago with another brand. So you can actually see how little space I have to maneuver in this tank. It's only a 32 litre, obviously, so it's not a massive tank. But if I'd have bigger scissors trying to do this, it would be extremely difficult, to say the least. So here you guys can actually see how much trouble I'm having maneuvering in such a small space. So yeah, it's not always easy having nano tanks, especially when you've decided to heavily plant them or heavily hardscape them. It can really get difficult to do maintenance, even if it's just simple trimming. It can really be a challenge. Talking about challenges, so I'm halfway through my trim and I am seeing that there is a lot of moss in the tank and I'm not even finished yet. So I think it's going to take me quite a while to get all this moss out of my tank, and even if I siphon it, I do know that if I blink, it's just going to be more moss. I am going to be doing a big cleanup, but when you do have a moss tank, you will find yourself pulling out moss clippings even weeks after you've trimmed. So that's the great thing about moss. I hadn't actually noticed that two clumps of moss actually started growing into each other, so I'm just going to trim back some of the wood that's holding the moss, so then it stops growing into each other and it's going to separate the trees again. I think I'm actually going to be removing one of the trees, which is this one, because it's just in the way. It's very difficult to trim with all these small trees around it. And I think it's just taken away from the scape, so I'm just going to quickly snap it off the rock. Okay, so as we can see, that was not the best looking tree, was it? So yeah, it was a good call just to take it out. It was actually bothering me for the last few weeks, so I'm happy I actually took this out. I'm now starting the long process of siphoning the moss out of the tank. So this is at a normal speed, so you guys can really see how slowly I'm taking the moss out, because again, I do have to be mindful of the shrimp. You could also use a net for this whole process, but again, for me, it's hard to maneuver. So as a siphon, I'm using just a regular pipe. A lot of people have been asking me why I don't have an automatic siphon. I don't actually like them. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just I personally do not like them. So here you can see me pinching the pipe. And what that does, it helps me regulate suction to take it slow or to take it a little bit faster as well. So yeah, I just prefer this method. I have a lot more control when I'm doing water changes or small cleanups like this. So in general, when you take out big volumes of water in trim tanks like I've just done, you want to be mindful in not taking your 10-litre bucket and just pouring a whole bunch of water inside your tank straight away. So I use the drip method. It just ensures that they don't start molting like crazy. My water parameters are also slightly different than the parameters that are in the tank, so it's just to ease them in. And that is the end of this week's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you realized that moss is great to keep, except when it's time to clean it up. So on that note, I will see you guys next Monday for a new video.